Storytelling is one of the most powerful techniques that a presenter can employ while in front of an audience. Human beings are wired to respond to stories. We're still telling the same stories that we've been told for thousands of years. One of the main reasons stories work so well is that as humans, we're primed to take in information as stories, and then we jump to conclusions. Our fast brain, also known as System 1 in Thinking Fast and Slow, is always trying to tell stories about what it sees. And the more coherent that story is, the more likely we are to accept it as true. For example, if I were to tell you that somebody is persistent and intelligent, and then asked you if they'd be a good salesperson, what would you say? You'd probably say yes, because those are some of the traits of a good salesperson. And you picked an answer based on the limited information that you had. That's what our brains do. But what if I also added disorganized and arrogant? Does your answer change? Probably does. You didn't ask, what would I need to know to decide if somebody would be a good salesperson? Because that takes effort that our brains just don't feel like putting in. Instead, what your brain did is it told you a story based on the information that you had. And because that story was coherent, you're comfortable believing it. If you want to learn more about this, Chapter 7 in Thinking Fast and Slow has a great explanation. So let's get back to the topic at hand, storytelling. We know that storytelling is incredibly powerful, but some people can be a bit uncomfortable telling stories in a sales environment. And if you're one of those people, that's okay. You don't have to be a, quote, great storyteller to tell great stories in your demo or presentation. Here are 4 things that you can do to up your demo or presentation storytelling game. Number 1 is get a little personal. You don't have to share your deep, dark secrets, but find something from your life that you can relate to the topic at hand. When I was selling marketing technology, I talked about how going to the local record store was the ideal customer experience. He knew my name, he knew what I wanted, and then I talked about how to scale that experience with technology. It was personal and relatable, but it didn't actually tell you anything about me. Number 2, consider the emotional impact. We know that people make decisions emotionally and then justify them rationally, so make an emotional connection. If you want the audience to feel warm and happy, maybe tell a family story. If you want them to feel frustrated, talk about a frustrating consumer experience. It may sound a bit manipulative, it's really not. Your story can have a big impact on how the audience feels about your demo, which will in turn have a huge impact on what they think about your demo. So make that emotional connection. Number 3, tell customer stories, but leave those slides at home. Customer stories can be incredibly powerful. They can help you illustrate your prospects' challenges without explicitly calling them out or making them feel bad. And those stories can also highlight benefits and results. But most of the time, those case studies are presented on a slide that's got the whole story written out. So just put up the logo and tell the story. If the entire story is on the slide, your audience is going to read it and ignore you. And then your whole meeting could have just been an email. Number 4, use pop culture, but make sure those stories are inclusive. And shout out to Dr. Logan for helping me with this one. It's pretty important. There are things in pop culture that may feel universal to you, but aren't to the audience. For example, just because I love The Office, that doesn't mean that my audience also loves The Office or has even seen it. The key is, if you're going to do a pop culture reference, you have to make it accessible. The point of the slide can't rely on the reference, because the audience won't get your reference, and they probably won't tell you they didn't get it. So you can still use the reference, just make sure that the reference isn't critical to the point you're making. And so there you have it, 4 ways to up your demo storytelling game. For more information, check out the blog post link in the comments, and you can see more of my content at demoswindeals.com.